Hey everyone, it's Kabir here. So today we are going to perform a task 2. So what we are going to perform is, like in previous sessions we have learned the concepts like what is map method, we know what is filter, right? We know how to prepare a card in Bootstrap, right? So we have seen these three concepts in the previous sessions. So what I was thought, using these three concepts, we are going to create a small task based on these three concepts. So let us see how can we use the filter method, how can we use the map method, and how can we use a card in our application. So it will be very useful for you whenever you are going to deal with some projects. So let's begin with the task 2. So let's go to our VS Code. So just VHK. So I have created a project known as task 2. Okay. In this project in SRC, I have created a folder known as components. So here we are going to create a component. So let's create a component. So I'm going to say like employee or a person component .js. So we are going to prepare class-based component. So whenever we want to create a class-based component, for that we VS Code provide us a shortcut. So what is that shortcut? Just type React class component tab. So whenever you are going to do, it is going to provide you the structure. Okay. So whatever unnecessary things, just remove it. So for example, I wanted to remove from here to here, from import to something like this. Okay. Then now I want to remove something. This comes sometimes by default. So just I wanted to remove. So we got a structure of our class component. Now my component name is a person component. Already we got the export default. So everything has been there. So let's check whether it's working or not. So here I want to say like h2 I am person component. Just save it. Just go to your app.js and I'm going to remove this header part. Right now here I want to insert, so I'm going to remove this logo as well. Just remove. So I want to import our person component. From, we have to give the path of our component. So it's in a component slash. Okay, cool. Save. Just go here. Just dump our component. That's it. Just save. Now whenever you wanted to run your React application, so for that we have a command called npm start. So just go to your terminal, new terminal, and this is what we call the terminal, right? Here we have to like type npm start. So it is going to start your application. It is going to run, and let's see the browser whether our application is working or not. So I should hope it should be working. So it's still loading. Yeah, I am a person component. So our application is working. Now what I wanted to do in this task, okay? In this task, I want to create a card. So I created a card, right? Now this card contains the detail of a person, like what details, the ID of that person, the name of that person, email of that person, and gender. So what this card is going to contain? Details of your person. Details. What details? Like ID. It is going to consist ID. Next, it will have the name. Third, this will have the employee, email. And the fourth, we will have the gender. So what we are going to do in this task is like we are going to prepare a card based on this. We are going to prepare this card, and in this card we are going to mention this particular details. So I have the data of almost 50 employees, so we will be creating the 50 cards, and each card is going to express, or like it is going to tell us the detail of that person by using this particular property. Then what we are going to do to create this card, we have we have the 50 members. So how can we use the map and create the 50 cards? That one concept we are going to see. Second, I'm going to prepare here 2 radio buttons, right? Here will be the 1 radio button. Here, yeah, 1 radio button. And I will have the 1 more radio button here, right? This will be like male, this will be like female. So whenever I'm going to check this male radio button, it is going to show only the male cards, only the cards which represent only the male persons. And when I'm going to check this particular female, it is going to show only the female details. So this is what we are going to do. Whenever I'm going to check the male details will be displayed. Whenever I'm going to check this female radio button, the female details will distribute. So it is going to display. So here we are going to understand how can we use the map, how can we use the filter, and how can we use the card. So let us go to our VS Code. So I have came to the VS Code. So let's go to our person component. So I need a data, right? I have created one file known as data.js. I'm going to create here one object like where person data, right? Cool. Right. This is the object, and this is going to contain some data like 50 employees data. This is the array which is going to contain some data. Now when I say this is the object, I should have the key, right? So the key is going to be like data, and it is going to say colon, and this particular array is a value. So and this array contains so many objects. So how it is going to then, just I'm going to explain you as simple as it is. I'm going to create one object known as person object, where person, this is the object. So this should contain some curly braces. Done. Now this is an object, means it contains property. So I'm going to create a property called data, and I'm going to create one property whose key is data and its value is one array. One array. Now what array contains? Array contains elements. So the element is nothing but one object, comma, one more, one more object, comma, one more object. Like this we have the 50 objects. And what object contains? Each object contains some properties like id, someone, comma, it contains name like Kabir, it contains email, some Kabir, @gmail.com, something it contains, right? Comma, it is going to contain the gender. Kabir is male. So this is what the gender. So this is what the data. Like this we have the 50 kind of data. So that's the total structure of that object. So I have just created this dummy data. Now I want to utilize this particular file object in some other file. So I have to give export. I have to export it. So we can do export default and the object name, that is nothing but a person and data. Okay, it is ready to object. Now where I am going to use this particular data? Inside my person component. If I wanted to use, first of all I have to import. So import some data from the location. So I have to give the location. Now I am in the person, right? And I'm going to say /, I will come to component, right? Now when I'm going to say /, I'm going to come to the src. In src I have the static files folder. In that folder I have this file known as data.js. Yes, I have imported that file, means I'm eligible to use that particular data. Cool. Now I want to prepare the card based on the persons that I have in that object. Now how many persons I have? I have totally 50. So for that I have to one state, right? In this state I'm going to say data, like person data colon the data. So I have created an object in my component. In that object I have one property known as person data, and it contains the data of a person, all the persons. This data is now having in this particular state. I'm storing in particular state. How I'm storing? I have created a separate file. Here it contains all information. Now I have did export. So now I wanted to use here. So first I have to import. So I have imported. Now in this state I have created one key name as person data, and this data contains a value. That value is nothing but the data which is coming from this data.js. Done. Cool. Now I want to create a what I wanted to create. I wanted to create a card. So how can I create a card? So just let's create a card. So first I'm going to take a container tab. Okay, in this container I want a row. Okay, row. I took the row. Done. In this row I wanted to create a like a row contains 12 parts of a column, right? A row is divided into 12 parts and each part is called one column. Now I want to take 4 column space to represent one card. 4 column space to represent one card. But I want to write the logic only one time and I want to reuse the logic. So the same logic I am using, because I want to construct a card for a person detail, the same card I need to construct for the 50 members. So instead of writing 50 times, I will be writing only one time using the map. So how can we write the map? See here. So I wanted to write a JavaScript. So for that we have to use the JavaScript expression. This curly braces is called JavaScript expression. Okay, I have used. Now my data contains in the state. So this dot state dot person data. Now this person data is nothing but your array, right? So we can use the map method on the array. So it's an array map. Now map is going to take one callback function. Okay, it took a callback function. Now suppose if you don't know how the map works, I have created a video on the map. So just for it, you will understand how map is going to function. So now this function is going to return an array. Okay, what is going to return? It is going to return one div. So I will be saying, okay, it is going to return a card. Which card it is going to return? So I want to write. Fine. Now I have to create a I have to construct a card. So how can I construct a card? But before constructing a card, I have to use a column as well. So what I'm going to do for this class, I'm going to say class name. Class name equals to call. That's nothing but medium, and I'm going to say it's a 4. So I'm telling that I want 4 column space as a one card. Okay, so in one row, how many cards now is going to display? It is going to display only 3, because one card is going to take 4 parts space. Second card will take more 4 parts, total 8. Third part will take one more 4 space, so it will be like 12. So that's how we are going to construct. Now here in this I want to create a card. So how can we create a card in Bootstrap? So for that we have a class called card. I have created a card. Now in this card I want one card header. So I'm going to say dot card header tab. Okay, created. Now I want to create one card body as well. So dot card body. That's it, tab. So I have created the card body. Here I want to display something like, I want to say, okay, some h3, and I want to say person details. I want to say something like that. Okay, now in this card body, I want to represent that person particular ID, name, email, gender. Now once we go to this data.js, this one object is going to represent one person. So what properties we have? We have ID, we have the first name, we have the email, we have the gender. So I want to represent this particular thing in my card format. So how can I represent? Here I'm going to take something like h5. Okay, in h5 I want to represent that particular data. So what map function will do? It is going to take one callback function, and this one callback function is going to take one object, one element of your array. Now this is your array, right? Now this is nothing but your array. This is your array. Now array contains element. This object is one element. This object is second element, right? Now what map function will do? It will pick one element. So first time it will pick one element and it will store in this data. So in this data, what we are storing? One complete object we are storing, means this element, this complete element we are storing. So this is here, one element is nothing but one object. So here it is one object has been come. So I want to represent this object. So how can I represent a particular property inside a object? So this is a JavaScript. So curly braces. In this, data is nothing but that object dot id. So I'm going to represent the id. In the same way, I want to represent many things. So before that, id, right? So I want to write something like here id. Cool. Now just copy and just say here I want to be first name. We have to use the exact key. So what is the exact key here? The exact key is nothing but first name. So we have to use the exact first name. First underscore, it's a name. And here I'm going to say it's a name. Done. Now what we have the next? We have the email. So what I'm going to say, data.email. So here I wanted to write like email. Now I want to say gender, like it would be the gender, and here I will be saying like gender. That's the cool what we have to do. So properly alignment we have to give, right? Then now I have prepared the object. So let us see how this particular UI is going to look. So just go here, just save it, just go here, just save it. So whenever we come to our browser, so we have some mistake. This .state.person_data map is not a function. It is not a function. Why we are getting this error? Because this .state.person_data we have used the map, right? That's cool. We are going to return it. So instead of, I want to say this return comma, and just I want to just say, just save it. So let's go to terminal first. So let's execute once more now. So we are getting one error. That error is that this .state.person_data.map is not a function. We are getting this error. It is telling that map is not a function. So why map is not a function? We have to understand. So map, it is going to take one callback function. Okay, cool. We are getting any error? No, here everything is good. Person data, this .state.person data, and actually this is data, right? We are saying the data is nothing but we are getting this particular data. So data.data, I want to say it should be data.data. Now it should get it. Now we got, right? Now we got the result, but we didn't get what we expected, right? So for that, what we have to do, we have to go here. We told that, okay, I need a card, which should be something container. We should have the row. We told everything right. Now we have created, we have called call emd4. That's true. That's also right. It is going to return. It's a card. Next to the card header, card body. That is, everything is right. But why we are getting that error is because I wanted to say it as a container fluid. So let's see whether we are going to get the result or not. Yeah, we got this one, right? Now this is not preparing the card. This is not preparing card because we didn't install the Bootstrap in here. So I want to install the Bootstrap. So for that, I want to say, how can we install a Bootstrap? npm install Bootstrap. That's it. Save. Now once it is going to install, we have to import. So I'm going to directly import in your app. So how can I import in your app? So once it is downloaded, we have to give the path of that bootstrap file. That is nothing but import. It will go import / node modules / your bootstrap. Inside bootstrap we have dist, in that we have css, in that we have bootstrap.css, because we didn't install the bootstrap, that's why it is not working. Now we have installed the bootstrap, we gave the path of that bootstrap. This is nothing but we have configured the bootstrap. Now just go here, so just say npm start. So we got the data in the card format. We didn't install the bootstrap, so we got something like this. Now when we have installed the bootstrap, we have prepared the card, but I want proper alignment. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do something little changes. Just come to your person component, and what I wanted to say in this card, I want to select in card header, I want to say bg dark text white. I want to say something like this. Just save it. And I want to say card should have some margin top. So I am to say margin top 3. Save it. Just go to your. So now we got this particular card. This is the first card. Person details, person 3 card. ID 1, ID 2, ID 3. We have the name. Still, if you want to give in proper alignment, we can use. For as of now, just I wanted to explain how can we create a card and how can we use the map method. So up to now we have understood how can we use the card, how can we use the map. Just we wrote for the one card, and this map is going to apply this particular logic for every element that is present in your array. In array we have the 50 person details, so it is going to prepare 50 things. Still, if you want, like I want to know how many members are there, so for that what I want to do, just remove this. What we'll be doing in the return, okay, here here I want to take one div. Okay, I have to one div. I want to set total. Okay, like we will be knowing how many members we have, the total. And here I want to represent the length of that particular this dot state dot person data dot length. Just save it. So we have the total, this many persons. So still, okay, we want to give some in above letter, like I can write here something like h2. So it will be like big letters. Save it, go to here, and it is like total 50. Okay, total detail, person details, we can say something, we can say, right? Now we have created. Now I want 2 radio buttons. If you want 2 radio buttons, if you know Bootstrap, like if you don't know how to create that radio buttons in Bootstrap, very easy. Just go to Google, just tell Bootstrap, just search Bootstrap 4. Go to your Bootstrap website, just go to your documentation, go to the components. Now here, go to your form, and here in forms I want radio, so just search for radio. This is the radio, okay, or radios. We have the radio. We want, do we want the design? If you want the design something like this, you can copy this code, but I don't want something like this. I want something like this. Yeah, I want something like this. So I will be copying the code, and according to your requirement you can do the changes. So just come to here, just go to your VS Code, and yeah, I want to take one div. Okay, here I want to paste that code, right? Now our React is like, it is going to have complete syntax, strict syntax. So here we have to, like, for every starting tag we should have the closing tag. So that's why we have the error here. So just close, don't forget to close it. Yes, we have closed. Now here I want mail, right? Here I want something like mail, and here I want like female. So just copy from the Bootstrap, no need to remember the code, and according to your requirement you have to do the changes. I'm going to tell it's a female. Done. When I'm going to save it, just see how it is going to look. So this is a wrap. So yes, male. So whenever I'm going to click on the mail, it should appear only the male details. When I'm going to click on this female, only it should like it should filter and it should display only the female details. So how can we do? For that, we are going to use the filter method. How can we use? So let's see. Let's go to your Visual Studio Code. Okay. Now here I want to write on change function, right? Or I want to take, before that I want to take one property known as filtered data. Filtered data, something. So at starting it will be the empty array. Okay, cool. Now whatever I'm going to filter, I'm going to store that particular array inside this particular property, right? That's why I took this filter data. Now whenever I'm going to click on that particular radio button, a function should get triggered. So for that I have to write one event. I have to handle the event. So here I'm going to write one event like on change event. So what I'm saying, on change event equals to, I'm going to write like this dot filter, some method name, like I want to say filter data, right? I wrote this one. So just I'm going to copy this one, and the same thing I want to give for our okay, same thing I want to give for our female radio button also. So what can I do? Just go here, just copy this one. Okay, I have copied. Just go and paste here. That's simple, right? Right. So what is the meaning? Whenever I'm going to check on that particular radio button, this function is going to trigger. So I wrote the name of the function, but I didn't define that function. So let's define that particular function. So let's go here. So before render, I'm going to define. So what is that? Filter data, right? I'm going to take one arrow function. Okay. So whenever I'm going to call a function based on the event, it is going to pass an object known as event object. It has been passed. Okay. Here what I want to do, I want to check which particular radio button has been clicked. So how can I check? E dot target dot value. Okay, value equals to, I want to say male. Okay, for that I want to give attribute called value. So here we don't have the value, so I'm going value equals to male. And the same thing I want to say here also, value equals to female. So what is the meaning of that? Whenever I'm going to check on that particular radio button, this function is going to trigger. It will check if e.target.value equals to male. If it is a male, means it is nothing but the male radio button has been checked. Okay, if it is a male, what I wanted to do, I want to filter the data. What data? I have a data which is in the person data. So how can I filter? So for this, what I'm going to use, this dot state dot your, what is the name of your array, person data dot filter. So in one of the session, in last session, I have told how the filter works. So please check out the video so that you can understand how filter is going to function. So this filter is going to take one callback function. Okay, the same like map. Okay, it is also will have one parameter, something like it will also have a parameter. What parameter? It is going to take some data, that is nothing but one object. Okay, what I wanted to do, I want to return. What do you want to return? I want to return a array. I wanted to return the filter data. How can you filter? Now each object is in your data, right? So based on which parameter you want to filter, based on which particular property, you can say it is a male or female based on the gender. So what I wanted to tell, data dot gender. If data dot gender equals to male, and just remember it is a male, m is capital because in your data m is capital. That's why we have to write the capital. So it is going to check this particular condition. If this particular condition is true, then it is going to return this particular array. Now I wanted to store this array in like new or filter, like I want to say filtered data. It's an array. So this particular, if this condition is true, that particular object is going to store in this, right? Now whenever the value, all the filtered data will store in this particular array. Now what I'm saying, once it is stored here, I want to call set state. So how can I call set state? I mean, I want to update the state. So this dot set state is the function which is going to take one object. So spread operator. So spread operator will be like this dot state, okay, comma, then you have filter. So how can you filter? So simple, filter data. Now before it is initialized with the empty array. Now I'm going to initialize it with the updated array, nothing but this filtered data. Filtered data. Cool. I have updated. I'm going to the same thing I'm going to copy. So just copy. So what I'm going to do changes here, I'm going to say it's if it is a female, trigger it if it is a female, come here, and here I want to say it should be female. So let's see whether it's a female. So m is capital small, so m is small. That's it. Just save it. Now whenever you are going to say what happens, just understand. Now this is our output. Whenever I'm going to click on this particular mail radio button, an event is going to trigger. That is nothing but on change event. It is going to call your filter data method. So now here it is going to pass an event object. So the control comes to here. Now it is going to check event.target.value. What is the value? If it is a male, okay. If it is a male, okay, it's true. Now control will come here. Now we have the person data. Person data is nothing but one array. So it is going to pick one object and it is going to check one property known as gender property is equals to male or not. Yes, if it is a true, then it is going to return this entire object and it is going to store in this particular filter data. Now this filter data, this filter method is going to iterate based on number of elements you have in that array. In that array we have the 50 elements, so it is going to check 50 times. It is going to iterate 50 times, and each and every time whenever it is going to find data dot gender equals to male, that condition is true, that particular object is going to store in the filter data. If the gender is female, it just going to ignore it. That's it. Now here also it's the same thing. Here it is going to check the filter. The gender should be a female. If it is a female, then that particular object is going to store in this filter data, or else it is going to just ignore. So once this is done, then we are calling the set state. What set state is going to do? Set state is going to update your state with this filtered data, right? After updating your state, it will call again your render method. But now here in render method, we are calling this map function on person data. But I don't want to call on the person data. I want to call on the filter data. Yes, filter data. So now when you are going to save it, now just go, we have the empty, we don't have any cards. Why we don't have any cards? Because whenever this particular application is going to execute, that time our filter data is an empty array. It doesn't have any properties. That's why it is a empty, right? Now whenever I'm going to click on that particular male, see, now I'm able to see all the male. This is a male, this is a male, and total we have the 50, right? This is coming because, just we will rectify this also. Just come to your VS Code. Wherever you are finding the length, we are finding it on the person data. I don't want it to find on the person data. I want to find based on the filter data. Save it. Now initially it will be the 0 because we don't have any particular elements. So whenever I'm going to click on the mail, see, it is going to tell we have the total 26 cards and all are male. Just see there, gender is male, 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 male. Now just remember this number 26. Now I'm clicking on the female, it's 24, gender is female. So this is how we are going to use your filter method. So in many projects you will be using a lot of the times this concept. So you have to understand how we can use a map, how can we use the filter. You have used the filter here. This is how we are going to do. So in this particular session we have understood how can we use the card. So we have used the card. So this is what we have used, the card. We know how to use the map. Now we know how to use the filter. So this session is all about this particular task. At last we have performed the task. So now one assignment you can do, like whenever an application is going to load, we don't have anything, but what you guys do, whenever the application is going to load, it should show all the particular cards, means it should show all the details of 50 persons. So the total should be 50 and 50 cards should present. And when I'm going to click on the male, it should show only the male persons. When I'm going to click on the female, it should show only the female data. So this is what all about today's task. And you don't need to remember all the code for the Bootstrap. Just if you understand how Bootstrap works, if you know HTML well, CSS well, that's enough. Just go to your particular Bootstrap website, whatever you want. For example, you want something like model, right? Just go here near the model and just go to the model. And however, if you want this model, this is the code. And if you want to do some required changes, like you don't want the save changes in the name, you want just save. So just edit and write the save. That's it. We have to do. That's how we learn the Bootstrap, right? So that's all about today's session. So thank you everyone. Take care. Bye.